All right, let's take a look at CKLA from the top down. We're going to be exploring the unit overviews later on in the study guide, but this video is to show you some of the additional materials that can really help support us in our planning. I know it's weird to start with like supplementary materials, but they are very helpful. Now, the first thing you'll know is that between grades 3 through 5, they will have different materials. So if I show grade 5s, grade 3 might have different. So I'll kind of show you both. Let's look first. After you've selected your program, it lists all the units. And then instead of choosing a unit right away, there are a lot of materials down below that can be extremely effective. But this section really depends on your preferences. There's a lot of planning documents that can be extremely helpful. I personally didn't find them as helpful because we have our district Canvas course that shows our pacing guide and eliminates lessons and decides on what our curriculum map's going to be. So I personally did not find a lot of help out of these, but again, that's personal preference. Please look through some of the planning documents and see if there is one that you're like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. That will be totally okay. Everyone has their own preferences. Now, once we go into a unit, let's look at Unit 1 for the grade level you'll be teaching next year. We're going to read the unit overview in the next section. But first, without clicking on any lessons, let's look at the materials at the bottom. Now, these are extremely helpful. Now, these are the materials you need to support your instruction in this first unit. The teacher guide, we have the printed copy if you would like to look at it. Sorry, it's a snow day, so you will hear my children in the background. Let's look at the teacher guide. We have the printed version, but as online teachers, having an online version is not a bad thing. Now, it does detail exactly what to tell your students in the lesson. It's extremely helpful if you were, I think, an in-person teacher and you had to be like up and moving around away from our computer. I don't find it personally as helpful in my instruction. I feel like the teacher, like I'll show you when you open up a lesson and you click on teach. Sometimes, guys, this has not been working for me this weekend. I don't know why it is doing this, but it might not pull up. But basically, when you push that teach button, it gives you a slide deck, and it's almost like the presenter view and the presentation. You can share your screen with the presentation, and then this is your teacher guide along with the slides that are there. On the right-hand side, it will tell you, say this, or ask students this, or possible responses. So let's move to a particular slide. Here's a activity they need to do, and this is what is in that teacher guide, but it's more accessible to me here. It also lists possible supports, which the teacher guide is really good at outlining as well. So again, this is based on your preference, whether you find that particular material important, that teacher guide right there. The ones that I want to really show us is the activity book and the reader. Now, the activity book is the printed book that we send students home, but you can't see what they write in it if we send it home with them. So this is the PDF version, so you can easily change this into a class kick and select, or an AirPod if that's your thing, by snipping the pieces that they need and having them do that. They do have the same pages inside of the online platform, and we can start a particular class. We did not have a lot of, we weren't able to do this very well with the computers that we were using this last year, but who knows with our new computers if this is going to work a little bit better. But as far as the PDF and turning into a class kick, that has been really manageable. And it's, again, your preference, but the PDF versions are here, so you're not snipping and doing a lot of that. The reader is also here. This is the book that students are sent home, but it's the PDF version for you to change into a class kick for students to read and annotate online. I highly recommend that this is how they read, not with the book itself, because then you can't see their annotations and where they are. Also in this section are all of your beginning of year assessments and your fluency supplement. This is only for grades 4 and 5, and the assessments are going to be different if you're looking at grade 3. So again, there's a lot of good materials in here for you to look through, and we can take them bit by bit, but there's a lot of things here. And sometimes I'll find something and be like, oh, that was really helpful. And then I'll look at it again later on, like, oh, that actually wasn't that helpful. Let's look at the grade 3 materials, because there is a big difference. In grade 3, there's a cursive activity book, and that is a great activity book for if you are doing the cursive lessons. At this point, we aren't requiring them, and I don't know if there's time built into your schedule, but I mean, if that is something you're interested in doing, I say we make the time for it. It's completely your preference, though. We're not it's not exactly where we're at. The fluency supplement is also in 3rd grade if you are wanting your students to practice with more practicity and fluency and rate. The writing studio teacher guide is also in this section. So you're in the unit and you scroll down and it gives you unit 1's writing studio teacher guide. It is not in unit 1 of the 5th grade. If you go to unit 2 in 5th grade, it will appear. So the writing studio is the lesson plans for our writing. There is writing already embedded in the tier 1 CKLA, but this is a supplemental writing studio to enhance their writing. And it is aligned. So the unit 1 section, they're learning about narrative writing and they are practicing it in the writing studio. Use the rest of your study guide to complete in looking at those additional materials.